Hey everybody, and welcome to Outdoor Adventures. I'm Frozen and thanks for joining me. It's really cold out here. It's about 22 degrees and I gotta be nuts for trying to film this today. But I wanted to talk about winter layering, anything that I consider to be non-3 season. For instance, for me, that would be anything under 40 degrees Fahrenheit. So when we're talking about winter layering, it's a way of keeping your body warm and comfortable, and you're able to take off or put on layers as you see fit depending on the temperature. Right now I'm in my base layer. I'd consider this pretty much my base layer. We'll go into it more specific once I put some more clothes on today. But it just consists of my trail runners, my gaiters, my Patagonia Strider shorts, and just a Champion Vapor short sleeve shirt. So this pretty much works for me down to about 45 degrees to when I can't use my rain jacket as an extra insulator. I need something more on me. So let's get into it. For any of this clothing that I'm talking about, I'll try to leave a link in the video description so you can easily find it on Amazon. Okay, so at 40 degrees, what I find myself to be the most comfortable with, and I think this will probably go down to 35. I haven't tested any lower than that because I usually always have some more or better layers with me. So what I just put on were these Amazon $20 body wrap pants. They're meant for like ballerinas and stuff, but you can find this if you just search for body wrapper pants. These will come right up. I think they're about 20, 22 bucks. They're made of a ripstop nylon. They're water resistant stock, but you can add your own DWR to it, some durable water repellent to make them even more water resistant. Another thing I like to add, and I can't wait to put this on because I'm absolutely freezing right now, is this Melanzana microgrid hoodie. This thing is absolutely amazing if you can find it. Now this is only made in Leadville, Colorado, and they don't have any online orders just yet. Apparently the next set of these will be released online in February, but who knows? Their popularity is far exceeding their product output, so that's what we're gonna work with. But I'm definitely putting this on because I know I'll be warm. And like I said, this is good at 40. It may even be good at 30 degrees. I'm not sure. I haven't really tried it out because I have other stuff to fill in those gaps. So this is the Melanzana microgrid hoodie, and it's really, really comfortable, really, really soft, and really, really warm for its weight ratio, especially for a fleece. And it has this hood right here that you can then cinch down on the side, and it would actually cover your chin. I don't want to do that right now because that's where the mic is, and you'll definitely be really annoyed if I do that. And this is the setup that I find myself using down to probably 35 degrees. As far as gloves go, this is all subjective, and you need to kind of play around with this to see what you need. I know Outdoor Research makes a whole bunch of different liner gloves, and they work very, very well down to 30, 40 degrees, depending on the thickness that you get. What I really find myself using are these Possume down gloves, and they seem to go down to about 20 degrees if it's not windy out. And they've been absolutely great. Now, any colder than that, I usually opt for the Possume down gloves and some Gore-Tex gloves, something that's windproof and waterproof, and it's also insulated inside. Now, you can achieve this same warmth rating probably down to about 30 degrees easily with these $20 pair of insulated gloves you can find on Amazon. They're really super stylish. It looks like you're kind of ready to wash dishes the whole time you're on the trail, but they definitely work. Now, I will have all these links down in the video description if you want to check them out. But these are absolutely amazing. They're waterproof. They are a little tight, so make sure you size up accordingly. I'm usually a medium glove, and I find the large gloves to be still a little too small, so I probably should size up 2 sizes, but you'll just have to play around with the sizing. So the Showa 282 insulated gloves, and like I said, they're super stylish on the trail. Primarily for my hat in 40 degree, 35 degree weather, I'll just simply use the buff that I always use anyway. And what you do with this is you just kind of put it on like you're actually putting on a hat, and then you're gonna have all this extra room up here. What I do is I just spin it a couple times and then fold it back down on itself, just so it's on my ears. Now, depending on how big a head you have, you might not be able to do that, but that just works for me. If it gets any colder than that, I have this down hat from BlackRock Gear, and I'll just slide that over top of the buff, and it is super freaking warm. Now for a shell in anything above 35 degrees, I'll simply just use my rain jacket, my Outdoor Research Helium 2. Absolutely love this thing, and it's super freaking comfortable. And with the layers that I currently have on, I always size up in my rain jackets, and that seems to work out perfectly fine for me. As you can see, I can zip the rain jacket up with really no problems. So what if it's a lower temperature, say 20 degrees? Now this is where everything just completely changes. So let's get into that. So what you're looking at right now is my base layer. This is a set of Smartwool 250s, tops and bottoms. Now this layer I do not hike in. This is reserved for after I'm already at camp and all my chores are done, and for sleeping. Now, this layer is super, super comfortable. It's kind of expensive unless you can find it on a sale. I definitely recommend it on a sale. I think I got these at backcountry.com or something, and I believe they were like 30 to 40% off when I bought them. So definitely wait for a sale on these. I'm starting to get nice and toasty now. So this is what I usually hike in during the winter, and if it's not crazy deep snow. But this is a Patagonia R1 hoodie and some Patagonia R1 fleece pants. Now they're microgrid, just like the Melanzana, and I'll probably do a comparison video between the R1 by Patagonia and the microgrid hoodie from Melanzana, just to kind of show you guys the differences between them. So that video is coming. This is literally all I need to get me by down to 20 degrees while hiking. And then when I get to camp, when it starts to get a little cooler, I'll just put the Smartwool 250 layer on and I'll be perfect. Let's talk about shells. So for like snow pants, I made a lot of mistakes here whenever I first started getting into winter layering. I actually bought snow pants, and they are super heavy and really unnecessary for hiking. I'd say you'd probably only need real snow pants, like for skiing and stuff, if it's like 0 degrees and you need some insulated pants. Now these are semi-insulated. They're just I don't even know what these are made of. These are the Outdoor Research Cirque pants. They're very, very, very water resistant, which is what I like about them. And they're very, very warm, and they stretch. So they definitely kind of like hug your body in all the good ways. And wind really can't get to you. They're really, really wind and water resistant. So on top of this, if it's really cold and I'm just kind of sitting around camp being chilled, I will throw on my down jacket. And this is a Montbell Alpine Light, and it doesn't have the hood, but that'll keep me really good down to 20 degrees. Now if it's snowing or if it's raining at some point on this trip, I will opt for a heavier rain jacket, a heavier shell, and that is the Patagonia Torrent shell. What I really, really like about this jacket, it just feels heavy duty. It blocks all wind. It's very, very waterproof, and it just works really well. Everything is really well put together and really well thought of right here. So this is, again, is the Patagonia Torrent shell rain jacket. So when I'm hiking, if the wind's really, really blowing, I do opt to have kind of like a face mask, like a balaclava. I don't really like the balaclava style face mask because they go over your head like a hood, and it's just pretty uncomfortable for me. So what I just like to do is I get these, this is a Cirrus, and I'll try to find these and put them in the video description, but it just goes over your face like this, and then there's Velcro in the back. So it really works out well to kind of shield all of the wind and the elements off of your face. Depending on how much it is snowing and how wet that snow is, I'll still hike in my trail runners. You might be saying, well, what if your feet get wet? They're never gonna, dry out. They're just gonna freeze. So what I use are these, they're called waterproof socks, and these are by Sealskinz. These are absolutely amazing. If you can't find or you don't like hiking in boots, which is something that I absolutely hate, in 20 degrees, these are definitely worth it to at least check out. Sealskinz waterproof socks, and they will keep all the water out of your foot. Now you'll still sweat, your feet will still sweat. So what you do at the end of the day, You turn them inside out, you heat them up a little bit by the fire, or if you want to put them in your foot box of your quilt while you're sleeping, or underneath your arm, or in your quilt somewhere, they'll eventually evaporate. Now, that means you do have to dry your quilt out at some point, but your feet will stay warm. So I recommend this if you're on like, a 3 or 4 day trip, which is what I like to do. You can always dry your quilt out by tossing it into the dryer on low to no heat. And you can do it that way. And please check with your manufacturer of your quilt to make sure you can do that before you just do it. Don't take my word for it, just do your own research. And that's really all I use for the winter. Now, when we're talking about sleep systems, some things get added. So we're talking about sleeping in our base layers, but I also use a couple things. Well, when I'm sleeping, my feet tend to get really cold. In fact, my feet are freezing and almost numb right now. So what I opt for, one of two things. There's these, when we were talking about the Possume down gloves, they also make Possume down socks. These are super warm, but I think for the price of these, I would just opt for these down booties from Goosefeet gear. That's what I use. There's a whole bunch of companies that make down booties, but these are basically down socks. You're really not supposed to hike in these, but they do make an overboot, so you can actually hike in these, which is kind of crazy. They will keep your feet warm if you're in some kind of emergency situation. But for the most part, try not to hike or use these when your feet are hitting the ground. I would just use these for when I'm sleeping. And these are absolutely amazing. They will keep your feet warm all through the night, and they compress down to literally nothing. I think the pair of these weighs about 1.5 ounces, maybe an ounce. And they're definitely worth the wait in winter conditions. So everybody, I hope that helped give you an idea of maybe a direction you want to go with your winter layering system. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me. I know this is a completely different animal as far as 3-season and 4-season clothing goes. And I definitely know it takes some trial, error, and testing for you to kind of dial that system down. I'm Frozen with Outdoor Adventures. I hope this helps somebody, and I'll see you on the trail.